Since Red Bull won the 2021 Drivers' Championship title, they've been on a roll, and it's mostly due to the incredible performance of the Dutch driver Max Verstappen. Currently, the Red Bull driver is leading in the race for the championship title, and at this pace, a third championship title is just within reach. So in this video, we'll give a brief overview of the 2023 season so far. Let's dive in. The Dutch driver made his debut in Formula 1 at the young age of 17 with the Red Bull's sister team Toro Rosso. His performance was so impressive he joined the Red Bull team the next season and immediately he started making waves. That year, when he was just 18, he won his first F1 race, making him the youngest winner in F1 history. The incredible driver didn't stop at that. He set records such as being the youngest driver to set a fastest lap, and the 100th driver to take a pole among several others. However, it was only the beginning, because in 2021, after an intense battle with seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, he won his first world championship title. It was an incredible moment for the young driver as it made him the first Dutch driver to ever win a Formula 1 world championship title. Despite that, Verstappen didn't let the win get into his head because he knew it was even tougher to defend a championship title. But his 2022 season performance was absolutely mind-blowing. The beginning of the season was quite difficult for most drivers as the new FIA regulations made the cars a bit difficult to handle. Then a few teams like Red Bull were able to make the required changes. In fact, the team's car was more than incredible and things began to heat up. At the start of the season, Red Bull's major rival was Ferrari, but as the season progressed, the distance between Verstappen and the other teams widened. Despite that, the Dutch driver didn't relax and kept working hard to win races. This hard work paid off big time as he won the championship title 4 whole races before the end of the season. That meant there was no way anyone could steal the title from him. So with the past 2 years being incredibly good for Red Bull and Verstappen, there were high expectations for this season. And so far, they haven't disappointed. Firstly, they created a beast of a vehicle just by improving on the features of the previous model. Then the drivers improved their skills. We could see this in their performance at the Bahrain Grand Prix. The 2023 season started on a very good note for Verstappen and his team at the Bahrain Grand Prix. The Dutch driver had gotten the first pole position of the team and led for a major part of the actual race. He and his teammate Sergio Perez had also gone ahead to clinch a 1-2 win. But Verstappen's performance at the Saudi Arabia GP actually showed what a great driver he was. At the qualifying race, Verstappen had finished at P15 due to a driveshaft failure. His teammate Sergio Perez had taken the lead instead. Almost everyone thought it was near impossible for the two-time world champion to finish in top 3, especially because the Saudi Arabia circuit was a high-speed, turn-heavy circuit. But they got an amazing surprise. Right from P15, the driver fought his way to the front, conquering one car at a time, and by the end of the race, he was ahead of everyone except Perez, who had started at the pole. So the team had another 1-2 win. Then the Australian GP came, and it was chaotic. Several accidents and incidents occurred that had them raise the red flag thrice, and most drivers were destabilized. But Verstappen remained unswayed, and at the final lap, he drove ahead of Hamilton to win the race. The next race, which was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, had Red Bull beaming with pride as it featured a fight for the win between their two drivers. The two drivers raced neck for most of the race, but Perez was able to get ahead when he saved time by pitting during a safety car period, and the team went home with another 1-2 result. Although the result was great for the team, it raised concern among fans because it indicated that the two drivers were aiming for the championship title, and that could lead to friction within the team. Most especially due to the little drama that occurred between the two drivers last season. For those that missed that, here's a summary. So last season, before Verstappen was announced as the title winner, there were times the team had Perez make way for Verstappen. The Mexican driver didn't mind because it was all for the benefit of the team, but the problem arose when Verstappen wouldn't do the same for him. At the 2022 Spanish Grand Prix, Perez had asked his race crew to allow him to pass Verstappen, who was in third place and struggling to get ahead of George Russell for second. Perez was in the faster car and he believed he could easily get ahead of Russell if Verstappen made room for him, but the Dutch driver didn't respond. The team kept urging him to allow his teammate to pass, and his only response was that it was unfair to ask him to do that. That broke Perez's heart because the Mexican driver had always only thought about what was best for the team and not himself. And from that moment, the relationship between the two drivers turned sour. In fact, when the season ended, there were speculations that Perez's contract would be ended just to please Verstappen, but that didn't happen. So now that they're both competing for the title, there might be something to worry about. However, whatever might be going on between them is kept behind closed doors, because the two of them maintain a cordial relationship in public. So back to Red Bull's performance this season. After the Azerbaijan GP came the Miami GP. Just like the Saudi Arabia GP, Verstappen didn't earn the qualifying pole position but started at P9. That didn't mean anything to the Dutch driver because, as usual, he worked his way through the field and crossed the checkered line before anyone else. Then there was the Monaco Grand Prix. The race was a tricky one due to the wet weather as drivers struggled to maintain their pace on the slippery racetracks. In fact, Verstappen had to take an emergency pit when Kevin Magnussen's car came into contact with him. But he was fortunate enough to be the first to race to the finish line because Fernando Alonso was quite ready to race ahead if Red Bull driver made any mistakes. The Spanish GP came next after Monaco, and right from the beginning, it was almost certain that he was going to win. At the beginning of the race, Carlos Sainz of Ferrari team seemed like he was going to be a threat to the Red Bull driver, but the Dutch driver soon shrugged him off. And although Hamilton and Russell performed incredibly well during the race, it wasn't enough to make them a threat to Verstappen's win. And at the end, they were able to finish with a 2-3 win. As for Sergio Perez, the race wasn't a great one because it lacked the usual excitement of competing for the win with his teammate. However, he finished fourth in the race. And last of the races that have been held for this season is the Canadian Grand Prix. The Canadian GP started with Verstappen earning pole position at the qualifying race, which was a great start, but during the actual race, he faced multiple challenges that were a threat to his win. First, on the 11th lap, he told his team that he hit a bird, which made him a little bit uncomfortable. Then he later revealed that the remnant didn't brush off and stayed on his car for the rest of the race. Later, he almost suffered a similar injury to Mercedes driver Russell, who had collided with the wall and was forced to retire. In Verstappen's case, he'd almost hit a curb just 5 laps to victory, but was lucky to get a hold of his car. But despite the little hiccups along the way, he finished the race first and won his 6th race for the season. Looking through this brief review, it's quite evident that Red Bull and Verstappen have had quite a good run this season, and another drivers' and constructors' title might be on the books for them. Time will tell how it will all turn out. So we've come to the end of this video. Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section below, and also do not forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.